Well, it's hard to believe it's been almost 6 years since we had the accident. Now, this is a shot of the cowling afterwards. Got cracked up pretty good. Had to do a little bit of Bondo epoxy repair on it, some sanding and filling, and then just resprayed it. Came out pretty good. Wheel pants took a pretty good shot too. Same thing, gonna do a lot of epoxy, some fiberglass work on them, and sand them up, and then repaint them. The landing gear plate got ripped out pretty good, violently actually, and did a lot of damage to the underside of the fuse. There's the plate there with a plywood landing plate actually in there. Plywood plate that actually held the landing gear in place. The fuselage needed extensive repairs in this area. This is a shot of the inside after I took the canisters out, before I really started to clean everything out of here. There was evidence that a repair had been made prior to the accident. This is, yeah, down there on the right hand side you can see somebody had done a repair there. I ended up just scraping all this out. It peeled out like dead skin. Just cleaned it all up, took it all out of there. This is a picture of the new landing plate that I got. It's solid carbon fiber. It's about 3/16 of an inch thick. Here it is just being test fitted into place. And once I did that, I took it and just cleaned up the edges, kind of cleaned it up as best I could, and inserted the plate. It was welded to the sides of the fuse at each side with carbon fiber cloth and epoxy, and then I took carbon fiber cloth and laminated it over the top of the plate to the fuselage to fill in all the voids that were left from where the fiberglass tore out of the fuse. I had to put a brace stiffener in there to keep the fuselage straight, which is where the clamps are holding that piece of wood there. I also laminated Mylar in there for additional reinforcement over the entire area. This is a shot of the reinforcement after it was done. I laminated it's an overlap on top of the landing plate just to really make sure it was good and strong with the Mylar. Say the Mylar is as strong as steel when it cures. These are the side supports for the smoke tank. Laminated those as well with Mylar, and I opted to go 32-ounce tank to replace the 24-ounce tank. This is the shot of the underside of the fuse as it was progressing. I let the Mylar run long because I wanted to replace the metal outlets with integral to the fuselage type of deal. Here I cut some fingers out of the Mylar, and I used 2 plastic cups as a mold to form the ports, and then just put some more Mylar in there and epoxy and let that set up. And then I ended up trimming it all back, a little Bondo on there, sanded it all down, and this is kind of what it looks like right now. It needs a little more fine tuning, but it's getting there. I also went ahead and made a new shelf for the fuel tank just in case, but I ended up reusing the old one. I was able to salvage that, so that's what I put back in there. This is the brace that goes inside that the canisters hang off of, and the fuel tank also attaches to it. It has blind nuts up on top, and these L brackets for the canisters attached to the blind nuts, and they hang off that bracket. Here's a shot of the whole thing put together. I pre-assembled the fuel tank shelf, the back side which holds the back ends of the canister in place. This is a shot of that. I used some fireproof clothing from Home Depot for where the back end of the canisters plug into the brace, because they had originally the plywood was burnt, so I put that in there for extra protection, and then I added 2 strips at the bottom of the fuel tank shelf to create an airspace, and also give me an area where I could glue the rest of the fabric to the bottom to protect the bottom side of the fuel tank from the heat of the canisters. And here's a shot of everything in place. As far as that goes, the cloth is glued to the bottom of that shelf, and it goes over the top of the canisters, and the canisters sit in the back of that brace. And then once I got ready to put the shelf in over the top of the smoked oil tank, I realized that the nipples were going to interfere with it once I pre-fitted it, so I had to take the shelf and trim it back a little bit, make an opening for the nipples. Got that all squared away, and this is where the smoke pump attaches. The shelf is now bolted down, and I started to run the plumbing. And this is a shot of that with the J-Tech holders in place and the nipples on the fuel tank. And this is pretty much what it looks like right now.